All right, it's the next day, and I'll lie to you now, everything that could have went wrong went wrong. The test drive, everything last night was perfectly fine. AC worked great, showed the data, and the misfire was just not present. Now it's bumping again, like there's an arc elsewhere. So likely there's another ignition coil that probably needs to be replaced. Now the AC, again, the AC doesn't work. Got the AC on, there's Freon in it. Check the pressure sensor that has the proper voltage. You're supposed to check the center wire at the AC pressure switch. So there's a AC pressure switch down here, pressure sensor, check that. That was making, I had a phone call, but the pressure sensor was supposed to be making around 0.8 to 0.4 volts, and right now it's not. But when I looked inside of there, it had crust on the connector. So this is like a default bolt that is making 50 millivolts. But down inside of it, let's see if I can get down in there. Uh-oh. It looks worn out, like there's a bad signal. So, but the thing is, with some of the ACs that you would deal with, you have to get a signal sent back to the module for a request to be allowed. I mean, it had it, but then it's just strange. So, but when I checked the pins, I had the value on point. I know I'm hooked up. Let me hook it back up in here. So I think unless the pressure sensor is in and out and it has to sustain a value for a certain amount of time. Let me hit it with something. It's the closest thing I got. I don't know if it's because of the time base of this or what. But I mean, technically I don't have the right value for the pressure sensor. This misfire, I swear. Unless I got a bad connection. I tested power and ground. I have those. I'm just gonna have to pull the connector back off again. Let me try that, see what happens. The bad thing is like literally always the new customers. I mean, it just doesn't help the situation. And one of the biggest key things also, I think it's this pressure switches because the fans are not activating. So I can push a button for the AC to activate. There's no fan operation, and then there's no idle up, and there's no, obviously no compressor. So this is why I think the pressure switch is bad. And I know I have a value because if I pull it out, well, it drops. So I know I'm hooked up to something. I mean, I checked my connection multiple times. Oh wait, check my ground here. Let me see. Check that again. I only have to keep piercing this. Check my connection. And again, I've went to the other side here. This is, what is this? I might have to check. I might have to have the car on because it was a 5-volt reference getting sent on that side there. Battery keep dying too, so I think I have to have it on for the 5-volt reference to kick in. But I mean, I know I had an established connection. Get some of this stuff out the way. That's why I think some of these cars are just after you. Check our connection. Oh wow, the compressor kicked on and then it shut down. You heard that. Let me move this wire again. I think this pressure switch is bad. Let me pull, let me tug on it. Let me tug, let me get back connected on this signal wire. Because I mean, what could happen also, sometimes you can have IPDM problems, intelligent power distribution module, and the relay inside could be failing. But if I'm moving this, okay, the fans are on. Might be a broken wire in here. Yeah, look at that. So yeah, look at our values now. Let me see. Okay, we might have a broken wire up in this joint somewhere. Yeah, look at that. I'm pushing down on the wiring harness. Let me see if it'll come back. Mind you, this wasn't a collision. I'm pushing up on it. I just gotta find a sweet spot. Yep. Yeah. There's a broken wire in this joint here somewhere. Seriously, man. Now I just gotta figure out where the broken wire is, because it might be. Well, I don't think it's. Let me move this. So it still could be in a pressure switch though, because I'm moving both of them. But at the same time, let me see if I can isolate one. So if I hold the wiring harness steady with these forceps, all right, let me push down the connector and just move the wiring harness. So we might just have an issue with the pressure switch and the connection. Let me see here if I can get it back to work. If I push down on the wire, it didn't do anything though. So I know I'm hooked up proper because my output, and again, I tested the power and the ground. Let me go back to the power and ground. There's the power, the 5-volt reference, that's fine. We got 5 volts. I'm gonna go to the ground. Wait a minute. Hold on, fella. Gotta be in the connector here, because the ground is holding steady, but then again, this is a 1 second per division type of average voltage scale here. Let me move. All right, there you go. So when it goes up to 3, it starts to work. So when I tug on it, So it's got to be our signal wire. Because the thing is, we don't have any output here immediately from the sensor signal. So what I was thinking was wrong. Because if it was a broken wire, I would have voltage here, the 3 volts. And it was gone. I just got to pull those. Okay. My connection may be jacked up. That's the problem with this piercing pin. Alright, so it's working now. Alright, and I moved down here by the connector. I need to find a good connection. Maybe if I go a little further back. Maybe if I go straight down. Let me just do this. Go right down into the connector with the piercing pin and see if it activates. So basically, I was increasing the preload for the pin tension. There's a little slat down there. I was lifting up on, and it should contact those pins a lot better. I want to get like a little wire brush or something and clean those pins off, especially that center one, because they are crusted up pretty bad. I just think we just got a bad sensor. 'Cause, I mean, the sensor's just bad. I just need to replace this. I don't know any other. I don't know what else to do. I mean, I have a good connection going into the sensor, 5-volt reference ground, and the adequate signal. Check the signal by testing as if it was a ground, and you push down on it, it works. So, all right, so in the midst of determining a misfire, if you don't have a scan tool, and like me, being that I replaced all this stuff and it's doing it, it just has a rhythm to it, like you can hear it bumping. One thing you can do is just manipulate the coils, just move them up a little bit, because the skirt, I'm gonna call it, of the insulation on the coil boot could be compromised. So when you lift up on it, it'll change the position. See, like I did that one, and the rhythm stopped. That's going to be the one I need to go to and replace. So we just need one more coil. So if I was to put it back down, put it back in its regular spot, and you got the weight on it, and see, basically you'll be listening and see if the tone or the mist comes back. So once you manipulate it, you change the position of the plug boot, see if it enhances or clears up, and that's usually where you're going to go to. Should have put it back in the original spot. There you go. I think it's gonna. But either way, that's the one I was moving. That's what changed it. I'm not going to sit there and wait on it. It'll start acting up again. I'll do it again, and you know. But this is where I'm going after. So I got the pressure transducer out, like a little, let's say, analog sensor here, like a pressure transducer. So I wound up. I'm gonna go get a new one. All right, AutoZone has it. But one thing I was looking for was just the variance in voltage value. I was adding compressed air to it to see if it'll change. I got it. Do it once, but yeah, nothing. But again, I mean, is my connections good? That's one of the biggest things. Yeah, that's fine there. Is it good there at the sensor though? I think it came up once. Okay. So it works when it wants to. I guess if you hold the sensor just right, pull it, jerk it or whatever, it'll do its thing. I'm gonna get a new one, and then we'll see how that new one responds. All right, back from the part store. I got a ignition coil and the pressure transducer. So it's the part number for the pressure transducer here. Here's the ignition coil. Now, in hindsight, all right, when I look back at this AC working, if you looked at my video yesterday, the AC was just working on its own, even though the Freon was low. So it makes sense for the pressure transducer to be defective. Now, it's just not doing anything at all. So logically, if I connect this, the value should be different. Also, when I administer air pressure to it, we should see value change. All right, that's what I'm projecting should happen because of, you know, I diagnosed it right, correct? But it's not like I have never got bad new sensors. So already it is, well, let's see. So we're in there, hopefully. Oh, wait, this wasn't connected, my ground. Test my leads here. All right. Now I need to connect, well, I need to start the car up first because I don't have a voltage value or anything. So already the value is different from what it was before. Before it was like it was 50 milliamps. Now it's 100 and I'm sorry, millivolts. Now it's 134 millivolts. Logically, it should work when we administer air pressure. It doesn't matter. Now, when I add air pressure to it, it should change value. All right, let's see what happens. Oh yeah, that's a lot more responsive than before. And before, it didn't do crap. Oh yeah, that was our problem. Right on the money. So the only thing left to do is put this new pressure transducer in here, this pressure sensor, and fill up with Freon, get this AC back working, and get this car, well, replace the coil too, and get this car the hell out of here. I'm tired of this car. I do have to pull vacuum on the AC, so I'll be doing that. I'm just glad this pressure switch was accessible, unlike some of the other ones. Well, usually they typically are pretty accessible, typically. This is probably not the right socket. I use a 1-inch. This wasn't right. I had something that would feel just about normal. Y'all gonna hate me for this. I'm just gonna put that back. So, all right. Let me pull vacuum, add Freon. Logically, everything should work now since I diagnosed it, saw a problem. And yeah, so let me get everything replaced. All right, here we go. Vacuum. I'm gonna put some Freon in it. Let's see what happens. We should hear the fans activate and the compressor. So wish me luck. Oh wow, you hear that? You hear that? Look at that, buddy. We have compressor activation. Oh yeah, cool. All right, I'm gonna cut this. I don't want to make this video like long and drawn out. The biggest thing is we found out what the problem was, diagnosed it, and didn't chase our ass. The unfortunate part about Nissan, I'm not gonna lie, is the fact that it don't give you compressor activation abilities on the bidirectional scan tool. So you have to manually do it. And again, I was looking at the context clues based off of an experience circumstance. When you get an AC signal request, usually, you have to have adequate pressure. There's no AC pressure sensor PID that I was able to discover. So maybe I overlooked it. I'm visually, I don't know, maybe it's called a Mandela effect or something. I tend to overlook stuff. So maybe it was there and I didn't see it, but I didn't see anything. And I looked through the HVAC and the engine. Sometimes you can find AC PID data in the engine control module. Sometimes, if I recall, you may be able to find it in the body control module too, depending on how it operates in the vehicle. So just utilize your resources. I have Identifix. This is what I've been using for years. It is very necessary for wiring diagrams, schematics, and case studies. I don't know everything, but I will say it did help when I needed information for determining that pressure switch or pressure sensor. And again, you have to look at your context clues. Being that I didn't have any compressor operation and no fan control made me suspect there's a pressure sensor problem. Again, it needs that pressure to determine, is it okay for the AC to operate? And sometimes you may have a combination of two problems. The fans and the compressor may be broken, but you still got to be able to weigh your options, and it takes just a little bit of knowledge. But always check your Freon level first, and AC requests. So you have to have bidirectional scan tools that working on these new vehicles to be able to access PID data. Utilize that resource is very important. Then you have to go to your source of factory service data. Again, I use Identifix if you got all data or something else. And you just got to go through a process of deduction based off the context clues. And hopefully, in some cases, you may have a case study that will help you isolate what you got going on. And maybe it may give you the answer. So who knows? But look, I'm done with this car. I'm gonna air up these tires, take it on another test drive, and it's gone. And like I said, some cars got it out for you, but I think this one did. It made an attempt to, because this car would have been a comeback. All right, so I would say, hey, your car's ready to pick it up. I would have looked bad, but I called her, told her what was going on after checking over it before I was ready to let it go. Things weren't right. Here we are, but it's back fixed. some cars got it out for you. But hit that link, subscribe to the channel, stay informed how to reach my work. See you on the next one.